everybody. Welcome to the Hallmark CHRISTMAS podcast. Ho, ho, ho. Wish you all a very Merry Christmas in July. And today we're going to have a lot of fun because we are talking about Christmas in July movies that aired on Hallmark Channel in July, holiday films, and including the two newest releases that we'll give our thoughts on. And we're going to be ranking them. And it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Are you enjoying Christmas in July in this insane weather, hot heat that we've been having?
I've been enjoying it, but down here it's been nothing but raining for 2 months, so not really.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I have not had to go outside too much, so
it is hot and humid and wet.
Yeah.
So.
But it's definitely been quite the summer. Very, very, very hot. And we've had a very rainy 2023 in general in Utah, which we desperately needed. So I guess it's a good thing. But yeah, it's been interesting.
we desperately needed rain here too, because last year we had to reserve the water over here because we had a drought and all the lawns were yellow. Not this year. We are sparsely green.
Well, we'd had 8 years of drought actually here in Utah. So yeah, people forget that it's a desert.
I know.
Desert surrounded by mountains. but yeah, so we got 2 new movies, and so we'll be talking about those as well as ranking. There ended up being 12 movies that have premiered in July, holiday films on Hallmark Channel. That we decided on. So were any of these new watches for you?
Only one.
Aside from the new ones, obviously.
Aside from the new ones, yes. Aside from the new premieres, only one I hadn't seen before.
There were 2 that I had not seen. So that was fun to get to watch. I had never seen A Perfect Christmas, which I think was that 2016. 2016. Because that was the year before the podcast, so I never seen that one, and I had never seen Angels Sing, which was 2013.
Yeah, that's the one that I'd never seen.
So it was pretty interesting. Well, let's dive in, and we'll put the list in the description if people want to do their own rankings. Tag us. We'd love to hear what you have to say. You can on Letterboxd, or if you wanted to do a video or pod, whatever you want to do, we'd love to hear your rankings, because we're not necessarily right. We just have our own rankings. So, and we should announce, if people missed my live stream where I talked about, once we finish, we have one more actor interview in the can that we'll be posting, and then we'll be taking a break from most interviews for a while. And so on Mondays, we're going to be doing ranking episodes for a little while. So it's going to be super fun. I'm excited.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started. What do you have at number 12?
Oh boy. This one is starring a favorite, but I have Family for Christmas from 2015, starring Lacey Chabert, whatever. I hate this movie.
Okay.
It left me with a feeling of, she didn't hate her life in the beginning when she was shown an alternate reality. She's a successful woman. She was very much achiever. She wanted to climb the ranks. Work was her life. And she, in her alternate reality, was showing a life with being a wife and mother. But that was all there was to it. She could not, like, her husband was so upset when she wanted to get a job, and her kids were like, store-bought cookies, you didn't make them. And I'm like, these are kids. They they don't care if they're made or bought from a store. And I think the movie does a disservice where it shows that you can not have a career and be a wife or a mother. You can't balance it.
Yeah.
And that's what I disliked about it.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. This one has fallen in my appreciation for it. When we first started the podcast, this was actually in one of my favorites.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who love this movie.
Yeah, I am a sucker for this whole idea of like
Right.
going like regrets and looking back and, alternate timelines and what might have been. And that's just a theme that really works for me. Kind of the It's a Wonderful Life, Family Man thing. But I do agree that they the starkness of her alternate life, and that there was something
Yeah.
wrong with the path that she chose,
Exactly. Yeah.
is problematic. And like, do they have to make her kids so
Oh
bratty
my
in the alternate
gosh.
life? Like,
It's like she didn't hate her life before either. So I don't,
like they're
but
complaining about cereal and stuff like that, and you're just like,
um,
hopefully her real kids won't be like this.
I also think it is from its era. It's only from
Yeah,
2015, but it was from
yeah.
that Hallmark era where you're like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And like,
Hmm.
I'm not saying I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying she couldn't be happy as a wife and mother, a homemaker. Absolutely, absolutely not. You can have a very fulfilling life that way.
Hmm.
But just that she couldn't make both things work together and she had to choose
Hmm.
one or the other. It's
Like,
a little unfair.
whatever life you do choose, there are always going to be sacrifices.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and so, but like you're saying with the cookies, like there's
Yeah,
sacrifices that you make as a family to all agree together that you're gonna,
absolutely.
this is
Yeah,
the life that you want, that as a couple, this is what you want. And there's so many working women who do an incredible job,
yeah,
and there's so many stay-at-home moms who do an incredible
yep,
job. So yeah,
yeah.
it's about communicating. It's about,
Yeah,
yeah,
the balance was definitely off. I was like,
yeah,
so she's like, yes, I want a future. I want children. I want this husband. Okay, totally cool. But I want to give it all up so I can cook and clean my house.
yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
and plus with this kind of story,
yeah,
well, we've seen it done so much better since then, that I can understand why it
yes.
was on my list in
Oh
2017.
yeah.
But now, since then, with Kiss Before Christmas, and we'll talk about another, Take Me Back for
Yeah.
Christmas, that we've seen it done so much better
Yeah.
since then. So that's part of it. But
I don't
uh,
think it's aged well.
no, I don't think it has either. So I think that's fair. That's fair. Well, my number 12 is one of the worst Hallmark movies I've ever seen. Not just Christmas in July, it's Christmas Camp. It's absolutely terrible.
That is my 11.
Yeah.
Christmas Camp is my 11.
My
Oh,
bottom three make the great sin of being really boring. And I can put up with almost anything if the movie isn't just boring. And I mean, like a ridiculous plot, or, a flawed message
yeah.
maybe, or something like that. But like, if I'm at least someone engaged in the performances, in the
Yep.
characters, in the
Yeah.
story, like, if it's just, if like nothing's happening and I'm bored,
Not one character that's likable in this movie.
no,
He's
not
terrible.
one.
He is a terrible son. He's absolutely terrible. His
Well,
father's
and like this camp, like it had so much potential, and they like do nothing. I
do
mean, they
nothing.
literally,
They go
the biggest
outside for a little
the
bit.
biggest activity is they're like walking the owner's dogs. Like, it's not a Christmas camp at
I couldn't get
all.
over how terrible of a son he was, and like berating his father for a passion that he had, and
Yeah.
this the fact that she has to go to a Christmas camp to get a promotion for her job is, I can forgive ridiculous, but man,
It is the lamest camp. Like, they don't do anything. I mean, Campfire CHRISTMAS, whatever, is like a billion times better as far as like in every way, but
yeah,
also just in the fact of like, this looks like a fun camp.
I know. And this is why they pushed it back a year, I think, because it was originally supposed to give, I think in 2018, it was on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that was back when many movies disappeared and popped up randomly on Hallmark. And they pushed it back all the way to July of the next year. And I was like,
Yeah.
I see why.
Like, the only good thing about this movie is the woman whose son is in the Marines.
Yeah.
Like, that's cute. Like, that's fun. But other than that, everything else is a huge bore. This camp is so underwhelming.
Oh my God.
No chemistry at
Oh,
all between
yeah.
our leads.
Boy, it's brutal. This one's brutal.
It is
Yeah,
brutal.
it is.
It's without a doubt one of the worst.
Yeah.
If
I would watch,
anything,
I think it's funny because I put, you know, my number 12 at 12, but I would watch that one before this one. It's just I
Yeah.
hate the premise of the message
that's fair.
of that one. But this one is just boring. And it's like I don't like anybody in this movie. It's hard to connect with anybody.
Yeah. Like I said, the only like brief moment of connection is the mom with the son
Yeah, that's
and
about it.
the Marines. That's it. And it's like, yeah, not well acted. It's just bad.
And these are the lamest things for Christmas camp. Oh, learn how to wrap a present and bake or whatever. I was like, oh, you know, there's more to Christmas than that, you know?
Yeah, there's so much fun stuff you could do at Christmas camp. And like we'll talk about Campfire Christmas. This is a billion times better. Absolutely. But I would never want to go. What I'm paying money to walk these people's dogs? Like so that was your 11?
Yes.
Well, my 11 might make some people upset because it has fan favorites, but it was super boring to me. It's my grown-up Christmas list is my number 11.
I struggled with that one on where to put it. It ended up going higher on my list, but just because I thought the sentimentality of it was good, but it is boring.
I can see that. And it was just a movie that I kept thinking, okay, something big is going to happen. And then it didn't happen.
Oh my gosh.
They kept like kind of leading you along that like, okay, she's going over there. Something's going to happen. Nothing happened.
Like, when they were overseas and you have it like that, they're just in a forest somewhere. And they had to try, you know, with the budget, but she flew there in like an hour, I think. And he's supposed to be in some undisclosed overseas like secret mission, and she's there in an hour, and it was boy,
you just kept waiting for and they really, I mean, I was like, this is it's like a Hallmark Richard Linklater movie, like you're just like a fly on the wall watching for something to happen. I'm like, nothing.
And they did her dirty. That was a terrible wedding dress that she had on in the end.
Yeah,
I was like, come on, it's cold. Why are you wearing that? You know?
Yeah, it wasn't.
I think what saves it for me and put it slightly higher, slightly higher on my list, is that I think because they're a real life couple, that you did see some of that affection and chemistry on screen.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fair. I would probably watch the butterfly one though, if I was.
Yes, I would too. That one's a lot more fun.
Yeah. Then if I was gonna pick a McGarry Wallace collaboration, I'd pick that one, or just watch Impulse the Heart. But yeah, it was just such a weird movie because I kept feeling like, okay, they're building it up, that something's going to happen, and then nothing happened.
Yeah,
they just like everything was fine, and they got married. They fell in love. Okay, good for them. That's great. But
yippee.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
So that was my number 11. It's like a Hallmark art house film, I felt like. But what is your number 10?
Oh, here's another one which has a Hallmark favorite. Home for Christmas with Catherine Bell and Victor
Oh.
Webster.
Mm-hmm.
This landed on my 10 because I couldn't connect with any of the characters. And I thought it was a little emotionally manipulative because of the army angle of it. And like, these guys are, she's in love with the diner dude and he's in love with her, but they can't, they don't realize it. They're grown adults, but they don't realize it. And she's so in her daughter's business because she doesn't want her daughter to go through the same heartbreak that she did with losing her husband. And it's all good and it's acted well. It's just like, I've seen this before and I've seen it done a bit better. But I know this is a favorite for many.
Yeah, I do have it pretty high. It was one of the first movies that it was maybe the first Christmas movie we ever reviewed as far as a new one on the pod. We were big fans of it when it came out. So I do have it higher, but I can understand. I think, a big with this one is, do you kind of go with it with the big emotionally manipulative reveal of the
right
the dead army captain, like if you can go with that, then, but I can understand why that would be too much. I get it.
I was like, I'm putting some favorites low on this list, but like, it's just how I felt when watching it.
No, I can understand that one. Well, my number 10, I have one of the latest ones. I have a Royal Christmas Crush, number 10. I think this movie was helped by the fact that I was just in the mood for a Hallmark Christmas movie. I mean, it was roasted pretty bad on Twitter, and
deservedly so. But I agree with you.
So it's not great.
Oh my gosh, I can spend 3 hours just dissecting this movie. But it is a little higher up for me because it was so absurd that I kind of ate that up. Even nitpicks and all, I kind of ate it up. I needed that.
The accent was terrible. They didn't. I mean, they had okay chemistry, but not like great chemistry.
No, I don't know. I don't know how those two fell in love, and I don't mean that in real life. I mean that on the
Yeah.
Like, what were they doing? Was it the carriage ride? And like, I don't know.
Well, and the thing is, I thought that both of the actors were too old for the characters they were playing.
100%.
Because they were both like just starting out their careers and both,
what? Well,
whether they
didn't really have
in their
career,
lives. They were grappling with questions that I think you do more in your early years.
I mean, yeah,
than
he
you
didn't
do
much
in your,
have a career.
Late 30s.
Yeah, he didn't much have a career because he was a prince, so he's got that mapped forward. But yeah, I agree they're too old. I mean, his parents were younger than him.
Yeah,
that
was ridiculous. Well, and I don't know, I just felt like even if he had a career spelled out, he was still kind of like, what am I going to do with my life? Kind of
you're right.
Thing. And so I just felt like it would have been so much better if he had been like an actor in his 20s, like one of the actors that are in this new royal red, white and blue, royal blue movie that's coming out, which I'm like obsessed with that trailer, by the way.
That's another accent in there.
I love that trailer so much. And we're going to be covering it, don't worry. But this I just didn't feel like they fit. I did love the fact that she was a well-meaning housing developer. That's very rare.
Maybe he fell in love with her because of the great dog houses she built, that drawing. Maybe that's what got them in love.
Her big dream was to provide sustainable housing for people.
It's
usually that's a villain in Hallmark movies. Sustainable housing.
Well-meaning, but very odd.
It was very exciting. And I mean, it is maybe in the camp of one of those movies that's kind of so bad it's a little bit entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And I can't really defend it too much. It was kind of boring. It wasn't great, but I didn't hate it either.
I applaud them for doing what they could with their budget. And I thought it looked
the Ice
better.
Hotel.
Yeah, I thought it looked better than what I anticipated it to.
Mhm.
But it's a howler for sure.
I would have liked to have seen more of the Ice Hotel. We didn't get to see that much.
It was just like, yes, because the
Barely.
previous two Ice Hotels, you saw it much more in detail.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
previous two films they did with the Ice
definitely.
Hotel. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it ended up at 10 for me. Let's see, where are you at? I've lost track.
We're going, let's see.
Have you done, you
9.
did 10, right?
I did 10. That was home for Christmas
Okay.
Day. So we're at 9.
Okay, what is your 9?
Oh boy, this one is a lot, and it is Angels Sing,
Mm-hmm.
which is from 2013, but it aired in 2014 on Hallmark, and it
And this
has
is like, I think it was a feature film.
it did come out. I think it was acquired by Hallmark, and it still gives on Hallmark drama during the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So they still play it, and it has Harry Connick Jr., Connie Britton. I mean, turn around and you're facing a country like legend.
Yeah.
But this movie was hard to take
Mm-hmm.
because this guy has a legitimate reason for not liking the holiday.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, you want to try to like let some of that pain go and move on with your life and open it up for your son. And how do I solve that? By living through another tragedy. And I was like, we didn't need this extra tragedy. We could have just had him move into the house with the decorating, a tamer version of the street that they lived on in Haul Out for Holly or whatever. Haul Out the Holly.
Yeah.
A tamer street, but on the same level. But they had to just throw in that one more tragedy. And I was like, this movie is a lot.
Yeah.
I liked it though. I did like it, but it's a lot.
I do have it higher. I mean, partly just because I think the quality of the performances and the movie making kind of bumped it up. I thought it was pretty basic. Like,
yes.
I think somewhat forgettable, but it's hard to not put something with, Connie Britton and Harry Connick Jr.
They definitely don't make things like this anymore on that scale. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this was something because it doesn't have like Hallmark branding and stuff. I think it got like a theatrical release.
But when I was looking it up, it did get a theatrical release. Release. And then I think it was acquired for the TV premiere for Hallmark. But Hallmark, like, it still plays on Hallmark, so they're still associated with it.
Yeah, and all of the country music stars, you're absolutely right. Willie Nelson, you've got Chris Christopherson, you have Lyle Lovett in there.
I do love me some Chris Christopherson though. I've always thought when I was a little girl, I saw when I was a little girl, I saw A Star Is Born with the Barbra Streisand version, and that's a lot to take when you're a little girl, but like. I was like, yeah, Chris Christopherson. I've always loved him since.
Yeah. He is pretty swoon-worthy. He has such a strange filmography, though.
I know. I think that's why I love him more. It's like, still, I was like, yeah, he can. It's like, I always joke around. It's like when I went to go see Book Club 2, and I told my sister, Andy Garcia can still get it.
Oh, my gosh.
I think Chris Christopherson, for me, can still get it as well.
Yeah. Well, I remember him and he's just not that into you. It's like, did he like know what movie he was in? Like, he feels like he's in an entirely different movie than Jennifer Aniston. Like, what?
Oh boy.
There's no world where Chris Christopherson is Jennifer Aniston's dad. Like, that makes no sense.
No. But sometimes you got to go with it.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go with the plot of this movie.
Yeah. I thought this one was cute.
I do like it though. I do, but it's like it can be a lot. I was like, this is a lot.
No, it's true about the manipulation. At least it's not as bad though as something like Christmas with the Cranks. Where it's like they're doing nothing wrong. Like, they are legit just deciding to go on a cruise for Christmas.
They can't even go on a vacation. Yeah. You must celebrate.
They're treated like they are the worst people.
Yeah, you must celebrate Christmas the way I tell you to, because you're doing it wrong. That's another thing too about a lot of these movies. They like you are celebrating Christmas wrong. And there's no wrong reason, no wrong way to celebrate Christmas.
Like,
Whether
from
you
a
do
certain-
it, whether it's you do it religiously or you're just celebrating the holiday as is, there's no wrong way.
Right. And if you decide to go on a cruise for
Go on a
Christmas,
cruise.
like that could be seen as a less commercial, like less you're actually like taking a break and not being concerned with decor and you're just enjoying the holiday together.
I would love to spend Christmas with my feet in the sand.
Yeah.
Just sitting on a beach somewhere. Like I don't have to shovel snow. I don't have to look at it. I would love it.
Yeah. The closest I've ever gotten, I think, is I went to Disneyland I've been twice. I've been to Disneyland twice for Christmas. So
see, that would be
that's
for
like
me.
as closest as I've done for as like a summer, even though when I went this last time, not last year, but the year before, I went to Disneyland for Christmas, and it ended up being pretty cold and rainy. So I was like, it wasn't like a warm Christmas, but it was really fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can understand why you had that at 10. So or 9. You said you had 9. 9 is where I have Family for Christmas.
Okay.
I think the chemistry is pretty good. I like the overall that whole idea of kind of looking back and even if the message does get a little murky, I'm a sucker for that kind of idea.
The
of
premise
like, what
is
if
good.
You took a different path? What if you and I like this combination of Lacey and Tyrone. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's hard because it leaves you in the end where this is the problem with the Family Guy type movies, is that they spend all this time with this alternate family and spouse, but it's all a dream or all a mirage. And so you get to the end it's hard to make the ending of the movies work because all of a sudden all that is gone and you have to make it work. That's why I thought Kiss Before Christmas was so brilliant in the way that they did it, as opposed to giving him a family, they took the family away, which is a lot more dramatically compelling as well.
Yep.
And then the fact that they had his kids be adopted was so smart in that movie, I thought.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
then he sees his kids with other parents. That's so brilliant.
It's brutal too.
Yeah, brutal and brilliant.
And they're happy. They're happy with their other parents. It's even worse.
Right. So it ended up at number 9 for me. It was Family for Christmas. But I think it's overall, like, I guess I would say harmless, but yeah, some of the messaging is a little, I guess, harmful. So what are you going to do? But what do you have at 8?
This one I have a Royal Christmas Crush.
Okay.
If you want to watch a howler where you can scream, take it, because I had such a good time watching this. It's not good, but I had a great time watching it.
Yeah.
I was puzzled by a lot of stuff. The mom is younger, but you know what? They put streaks of gray paint in her hair, gray streaks, to make her look old. But Daddy doesn't get any of that. Daddy looks spry. He's the youngest of all. It was so glaring. It was so glaring that I hate to say this, but he looked like there's only 6 years difference. He's 6 years older, but he looked like a decade older. Yeah. So weird. But still, if you want to laugh, this is a movie for you, because she does look like she wants to eat him this entire movie. Like her googly eyes to him. Like, I know how they fell in love in real life. I don't know how they fell in love in the movie, but like it is like she does look like I love you, like right from the beginning. So, but it's a howler.
Yeah, I agree. It's one if you want to watch a So Bad It's Good Hallmark movie.
Yes.
This is rising up the ranks. If we ever do that ranking, it will be high. Well, my number 8, I have Christmas in Toyland. I think this is perfectly pleasant, standard Hallmark movie. I mean, I like the 2 leads a lot. Save the store. It does have a little bit of a different ending with them not actually saving the store,
which I liked. I appreciated.
Yeah, I appreciated that. The store looked pretty fun because some of these stores you're just like, like the one with Bobby Campo. where it's supposed to be this like magical, amazing store.
Does not look that
Uh,
way.
No, it was not. It looked extremely average. And this, it actually looked pretty fun. I thought the store.
Yep.
And you've never seen two people so like invested in designing the new toys and the next toys.
Wait, I mean, they weren't even
toy
exciting
designing
toys.
is her dream, her life calling.
That's a new one, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't do that one much in Hallmark.
No.
But
yeah, I'm trying to think of what even there's the one with Catherine Bell. And
that's right.
Yeah, with the toy design.
But they did I think it wasn't last year, it was the year before, the one with Paul Green, where they're toy makers.
Oh yeah, that one's
in the
terrible
business.
too.
Yeah, but you got to see Paul Green shirtless. So
Yeah.
if you want for a hot minute, check out that clip and then move on.
Not worth it.
I guess not. I mean, you can watch that clip on somebody's got it up on YouTube.
I'm
that clip.
sure.
It's on TikTok. You'll find it.
But this to me is just like an average, pleasant. I would watch it again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Kind of movie. So it was right in the middle.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by W Rated, the podcast where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Join me, Daisy,
and me, Claire, as we break down the IMDb Bottom 100, choosing a different film from the list every episode.
We take a deep dive into the plot, production, release, and reviews, usually with a special guest, to uncover if these films are truly as bad as everyone says they are.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
What you have at 7?
My 7 is My Grown Up Christmas List.
Okay.
And it's because the actors work well together. You can see the chemistry and sentimentality, but you prepare to be a little snooze fest. And I know some people who love this movie and they will be super mad. They're like, what do you mean it's boring? But
nothing happens. I mean, they just meet and fall in love, which is great. And then at the beginning of the movie, and then that's it.
Yeah,
they just
pretty much
have a long distance relationship where they talk on the phone, and then she goes over there and nothing happens.
I wish they did a little bit more with the long distance. They only briefly touched upon how hard it can be, but they didn't go too in depth with it.
No. And I thought, oh, is she going to meet somebody else? And then like, that's going to be, no, there was no conflict, like nothing.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is one of because there's a lot of military movies that are Christmas themed, and it's like family, and it's however you view those type of movies. This is very a traditional type of one like that.
Yeah. Well, my number 7 is A Perfect Christmas. I hadn't seen this one. And they've made quite a few now of these sort of marriage and crisis movies from Hallmark. And I've kind of realized last year, I'm like, I don't really like these that much. They're not like, and I guess they're nice to just have some variety.
Right. This is a first for them. Excuse me. This
in
was
the
a
season.
First. Yeah. This was the first kind of that they did with a married couple.
Yeah. And I would say this one was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
As far as like the conflict that they have felt real and earned, and I thought had pretty good chemistry. But I don't know, just not my favorite kind of story. I just realized that I'm like, I don't mind them because not everything is about me and my taste, but I just prefer the romances over these marriage and crisis kind of stories. They're sort of downers and downbeat and just, I don't know, I just don't love them as much. But this one I thought was pretty well done. I thought the family felt believable. The conflict felt believable. That she gets pregnant, doesn't want to is nervous about telling him.
I think he was more
his job.
He was more the one who was putting the conflict in on everything, because he wouldn't come clean about his job. I do love how in the end the family watches the video that she made for him, the Christmas present, before he ever does. And they're like, no, you've got to shut up and listen, So I really did like that.
Yeah.
But that mother-in-law.
It makes sense why she would be nervous about telling him.
Right.
especially when things are kind of falling apart. And it's kind of the same reason why I don't love like the family dysfunctional Christmas
Sure.
movies,
Yeah. I
because they
get
sort
you.
of stress me out. And I know other people really like them. And like I said, everything has to be about me. That's why this ended up in the middle, because I thought it was well done, just not my favorite.
Yeah.
So, what do you have at 6?
That is Christmas in Toyland.
Okay. Yeah.
I had more fun with this movie than I thought I would. And I did like that it didn't end with a bow tie. There was warts in it, and it was refreshing
Yeah.
to see. I mean, it still had a feel good ending, but it was refreshing to see that they worked so hard and they failed.
Yeah.
To a degree,
Yeah. That's true. And sometimes you just want like a basic Hallmark movie.
Absolutely.
As far as like, you just want like a cute, you don't want them to always be switching it up. Sometimes you just want a basic movie.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, my number 6 is The Christmas Cure.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I think the banter is actually pretty good, and this is pretty basic. Sort of the girl coming back to the small town. But I think it's well cast, good actors. It's a second chance romance. They had, been together in the past, and they're sort of thrown together. But my favorite part about this movie is the relationship between her and her brother.
Yes.
And their friendship was really nice. And then his little relationship, and when he spoils the book for his girlfriend was really funny, and like something I think everyone can relate to, either having that happen to you or accidentally doing it and feeling terrible. So that was really funny. And so overall, I think this one's a solid, cute little movie.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you have at 5?
Mine is A Perfect Christmas.
Okay.
For what you said, but I like this one because for the time it came out, it was different. It actually had a married couple, and I found it very believable. And we've all suffered to some extent with things going wrong during the holiday, and that mother-in-law, the losing the luggage, that all made me kind of laugh.
Yeah.
I thought he was a bit of a hard head, but you could understand these characters. So I liked it for that.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely agree. I think that it made sense, his choices, as far as why he would not want to tell her.
Yeah, sure.
And they were a little heavy-handed, and this goes back to the era of, it's kind of similar to Family for Christmas, of you're the provider and protector of the family.
I'm just a woman. What can I do?
Yeah. And I know you are devastated because you're not able to provide for the family. And there was a lot of that going on. But so I'm glad that we've moved past that.
We've moved past that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, well, my number 5 is Angels Sing. I just thought it was cute.
It is cute. It is very cute.
I liked the dynamic with the little boy, and and I thought that Connie and Harry had good chemistry. And
I did love how, I also did love how he had the giant decoration fall on his car, and the Christmas, because he was so annoyed by it. I also did think it was really funny when he's trying to get rid of that snowman, that the snowman's face turns to a horror.
Yeah.
The horror, and the reindeer's face when he almost hits him with the bike. Those were it's kind of cheesy, but funny in the moment when you're watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So it is a fun movie, but
I think it's one that a lot of people probably haven't seen. So
I would assume
it's on Max. And so if people haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. It's a cute little Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is The Christmas Cure. For everything you said, I thought it was really fun. I loved it. It was one of my favorites the year that it came out. I think it's 2014, I think. And I just also love the family. 2017, my bad.
Yeah.
I can't look. I'm looking at my handwriting and it looks like a 4, Lord. I I got to write bigger. I also love the family dynamic in this one. I love the relationship between her and her dad, and how she gradually comes to the decision that, yeah, maybe I do want to continue my dad's practice, because she's a doctor and the emergency room doctor, and he has a family practice, and how she comes to realize that, she wants to change her direction in her career. But it's a sweet, it's funny, it's got good chemistry.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very traditional for the era too of Hallmark, and of Christmas movies in general, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you're looking for second chance romance, girl comes back to the hometown, it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
All right. My number 4 is Home for Christmas Day. And I
Mhm.
do totally admit that the appreciation of this movie totally relies on, do you get taken in by this reveal of the soldier coming back? Like,
Right.
and I can totally see how that is too much and it doesn't work for some people. For me, I thought they pulled it off and it did work. And now partly is because I think Anthony Konecki is such a good young actor. And like, he's somebody that would have been a good person for Christmas Crush,
Right.
somebody on like his age range. But I think that really worked for me. And like her trying to, I thought the relationship between the mother and daughter was really well done, and her
Yeah.
trying to prevent her daughter from having some of the heartbreak that she had experienced, and
Right.
trying to, and that like communication between the two of them and them like learning and growing through the story, I thought was really well done. And I do think that Catherine Bell is one of our best Hallmark actresses. as
Can
far as
we please
pure-
get her back?
Yeah. As
Can
far as
we
just like
please get her
pure
back?
acting talent, I think she's
Yeah.
one of the better ones.
She's sorely missed. Can we get her back?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't necessarily think her and Victor Webster had that like amazing chemistry, but it was like serviceable. And
Right.
but the main plot for me was this mother-daughter dynamic that I
That's the
think
best part of the film. Yeah.
that really worked. And it was like good enough for
Yeah.
her to have, a
It's true.
relationship.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was very high for me when we first started the podcast, and it's still, pretty high, but yeah, it totally depends on, does the soldier story work for you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have it at 4. So what do you have at 3?
Mine is Campfire Christmas, because it
Yeah.
is truly a Christmas in July movie.
Yeah.
There are so many fun activities in this camp, and I like it because they're having one last outing with all the camp alumni and regulars, because they're selling the parent. They're selling the camp, and it is totally okay to sell the camp. There's not this drama over, oh no, I got to try to save it. I've realized that I secretly want it. No, it's okay to move on and end things. That's what I loved about it. And they had great side characters and chemistry, and the soap opera star fighting with the Broadway star and then falling in love was hysterical. They were, I love that couple. Those guys were great in the roles. They played it to the hilt. It's a lot of fun. Also, there's a possibility of a long distance romance here, which is a killer for a lot of Hallmark relationships. And the guy's like, hey, I'll just move. And I was like, thank you. The guy is willing to make that sacrifice.
Which is
it's
totally
not a big
what you would
deal.
do if you fell in love. You would move, like you just would.
move. And if you can't right away, you would make it work.
Yeah.
You would make it work. You would try.
Yeah.
You would at least put the effort in. Not, oh my God, you live 3 hours away. I can't. We're done.
Yeah.
It's
Because
a
it
car
used to
ride.
be that it was annoying in Hallmark movies when the woman was just expected to give up everything because
Oh.
she'd leave the city and go to the small town, and she's just expected to give up everything that she's
and-
just developed in the city
Yep.
for the small town. But then
And her high
like,
school boyfriend.
and so that was annoying. But now our solution to that is, well, love is impossible because we live in different places. Like, no.
A woman had to give everything up for her high school boyfriend that she had when she was 14, 15, the love of her life. She knew no other than that. I mean,
Like there's a middle ground where you actually communicate.
I
and,
don't
like, talk.
that
and-
I know that always
Like-
boggles the mind that the high school is like, we had the most intense relation. What did you do in high school? Okay, now I know plenty of
Yeah.
people who did some
Yeah.
out of bound things, but you know what we did in high school? We played video games together. We sat on the porch, we rode bikes. We didn't get it,
I
there
mean,
was
my
no
best
deep
friend,
connection.
my best friend from high school married her high school sweetheart,
Bless
still
her.
married to this day.
Bless her.
But like, it was a lot less
That's a
dramatic than they
rarity. I
should.
know.
I mean, here's what real couples do. Friends of mine, they get married. The one gets accepted into law school. The one gets accepted into a grad program in, I think it was Harvard or whatever. And so what they do is he does the it's not the Peace Corps, but the stateside version. I can think
Yeah.
of AmeriCorps or whatever. So he does that. He puts law school on hold so that she can go to
sweet.
school, get her education. And then she does something, she does something different. So then they go and he gets his education. That's how marriage works.
That's how marriage works.
How a couple
See, now
works. And you're like,
that is-
okay, what are our goals?
Yes.
What do we want? How do we make it work?
That is the realistic part. It's not like, oh man, I got my dream job. Like, you have to pick me or the dream job.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
live with me in this small town and help me run my family diner, or go live in the big city as a lawyer,
Yeah.
crazy. Those years were crazy.
Wow. All right. So I also have Campfire Christmas at 3. And I think this is a really fun movie. I really like the chemistry. This group felt like genuine friends. All of them felt like
Totally.
genuine friends. Matt Hamilton's a favorite of mine. I
Yep.
liked him and Caitlin Stryker. Their relationship worked, I think, well. And that
They
was
also
something-
had very believable storyline in that too,
Mhm,
where
mhm.
they were dedicated to their business and they were like, should we scale back and start a family? And they were
Yeah.
talking about it and discussing it. And it was like so refreshing to see that in a movie. And it wasn't boring, because I know a lot of people say we have to have strife, we have to have drama to be
Mhm.
entertaining. And that is not the case.
Yeah, and they were having like a
every
moment
time.
where they weren't communicating well as a
Right.
couple, but it wasn't like we're gonna get divorced or anything. Like it was believable in that
Yeah.
way. And I think it's one of Anna White's best scripts. I think she did a really good job with it, and it was just refreshing to have like a
It
true
was.
Christmas in July movie.
Totally.
Yeah, but although they definitely have a overblown idea of what I think most Broadway performers make.
Oh man, though, when he showed up in that limo, I howled. That was
Like unless you're like Lin-Manuel Miranda, like you're not that rich.
and even then I question if he shows up in a limo.
Yeah.
But like that was, and he was like, I am here and I am fabulous, and I loved it. And just the fighting with like, oh, he's a soap star. Oh, he's a state. Like I was like, okay, like this is,
Yeah.
I love this. This is just
Yeah. And it was just like effortless diversity and inclusion as well.
absolutely, yeah.
And all throughout the whole cast. They weren't like, there was nothing sort of preachy at all about it. It was just like, here's the relationships. That's it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
They don't have a sign. A lot of times I feel like they don't know how to add that in naturally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's almost like they're wearing a sign like, this is where insert whatever belongs here. And it just doesn't flow well. And I was like, you don't have to work this hard. Just do it naturally,
Or the way Disney usually does it, where it's like, give us an applause for how great we're being,
like that is very condescending to the viewer.
Yeah, it's very patronizing.
Like if you do it naturally, it works. Like,
Mhm.
Who cares to begin with, but like, it's so condescending when you do that. And here, everything was natural. It didn't feel heavy-handed or forced or, because a
Agree.
lot of times they have to add, what I don't like is when it feels like they have to put it there and there's a message to it.
Yeah.
And I don't think people need that spelled out for them because they know.
Yeah.
But
Because
you need to like make it organic and natural. And,
Because honestly, I feel like most peer groups of millennials and further back have somebody in your peer group who is LGBTQ. Like,
Absolutely.
I certainly do. Most people I know do.
Same. Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's fine. Like, you're just like, you love your friends and it's great. Like,
Yeah, it's
so
not a big issue.
it's not
It's not a big issue to have friends of a different race or a different religion than you. You know, people aren't, you know, it's not like they I will use, it's like what they're doing in And Just Like That, where it doesn't feel natural in that aspect. It feels like they feel like they have to make up. Yes, that's it. So there's a big difference. And I think that's what irritates audiences more, when it feels like tokenism. Not that they don't want to see representation and diversity, because I believe the majority of people do, but they don't want it like that. You know?
Yeah. I agree. So we both have it at 3. Well, what do you have at 2?
I have at 2 is Take Me Back for Christmas, which just aired this past weekend, and it is heartbreaking. I couldn't believe, it's so great. It's now my number 2 Hallmark movie this year. It's taken my second spot, but it had just the right amount of drama. It had heart, it had romance, believability, like chemistry, and it was just so I didn't know it was going to be this touching. When she sees her mom, I bursted out into tears, because that got me. So I was like, I would never go back. My mom has been gone for so long, and if I woke up in an alternate reality and I saw my mother again, and even if I had her for like the shortest moment of time, I couldn't give that up. You know, in that ending scene when they said goodbye, I was a mess.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Yeah. What's your number 1 of the year?
My number 1 is Crashing Through the Snow.
No, I mean, what's your number 1?
Oh my God, my number 1 for the movie. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh.
You're fine.
I had a brain fart there. Apologies.
So what's your number 1 of 2023?
Sweeter Than Chocolate.
Yeah, that one's really good. I can see that. So I really struggled. It's interesting. We have the same top 3. Because I really struggled as like, is it recency bias? You know, it's hard when you literally just see a movie, yesterday, and then one you've had time to sit on a little bit more. But yeah, this Take Me Back for Christmas. I'm thinking about it, and is it one of my favorite Hallmark movies, like ever?
Right.
I
couldn't. It's so good.
It's in that conversation, and I think I'm going to do a full on friendship episode dissection of it with Elisa. I was telling her about it. I feel like it'd be a really good one for that.
I think so too. Yeah.
And I feel like we need to talk. It needs more than just this, this analysis.
Yeah. So
I was so impressed by this movie. I absolutely bawled my eyes out. And now I've seen, because I put it on my Insta story, so I've seen both of the scenes with the mom, that when she says, "Oh, I missed you so much," and then when she's saying has to say goodbye. Oh,
I know. I was
those
in
scenes are
tears.
so good and so touching. And
because I mean, those were hard to scenes, but if you had to say goodbye, what a gift it would be to redo it. To properly say goodbye, to say things you couldn't say the first time around, even though it's so sad, it's also a gift.
It reminded me, and this is a movie I've always defended that I feel like I'm the only one that really loved, was a movie on Lifetime called Every Day is Christmas. I don't know why it's called that. It's a stupid title, but it's about it's a take on Christmas Carol, but instead of having it be about a normal Christmas Carol about just a greedy, selfish person, what they did is they had her become stuck, like in this movie, after her parents were killed in a tragic car accident suddenly. So she never got to say goodbye. And so she became this reclusive because of the grief, not because of the greed. And the ghosts in this version are her mother and father for every stage.
Yes, this is the one with Tony Braxton, right?
Yes. And I
Yes,
thought
that is a good movie. Yeah.
I thought it was so brilliant. And Gloria Allred maybe brilliant is too strong, but I thought it was really good that Gloria Allred is such a good actress. And every time that Tony would see her mom, every time she would like lose it. And that's true. Like, even if you had just seen your dead mother, and then you would still like lose it every time. And
I would too. They really knew how to touch I remember was saying, this is so smart to do it this way.
Yeah, and there's other things that don't work as well in that, like, I mean, Toni Braxton's like the greatest actress and the romance is stupid, but that core emotion of the grief and having to say goodbye, to you. And so that's what I thought this really picked up on and did even better. I could care less about all the stuff about the meal kits and none of that mattered to me, but the relationship between her and her mom and her getting a chance to say goodbye. And they did, I think, a good enough job of putting her in a situation where she had to pick between her husband and her mom.
Right.
And her realizing how she had become stuck and how she had been sort of limiting her husband because he loved her so much. He would do this.
A supportive husband, though.
Yeah. And
in
then
the beginning, when the movie first starts, he's so supportive of her. And he's like, hey, if you want to stay, we'll stay. If you want a new beginning, we'll go. And I was like, this guy's a dreamboat. What doesn't she? At first I thought she was like, it was going to be like unhappy with everything. But no, she was feeling stuck. And
and then so when she gives him the gift at the end, it's like so moving and lovely. And I mean,
putting him first now.
Everybody has different opinions, but I watched this movie and I just felt like if you don't like this movie, then this genre isn't for you. Like, I just don't know how they could execute it better. It was so well written. It was so well acted. They had, I thought, good chemistry. I thought that everything with the mom was so good. And I don't know. I just don't know what else you could ask for in this movie.
It's true. It's so good. It's like so good. I'm surprised it came out so good.
Yeah.
And I thought it was well shot.
Yeah.
And it was well acted. I loved when I don't know if she's an angel or whatever, but the lady dressed as an elf, when she picks her up in the car and drops her off at the same exact place.
Yeah.
I
liked the elf. She was good. She was cute. Yeah.
Well, no, at the end she's an angel. So she was an angel.
Yeah.
But it was good. Yeah. But oh my God, this movie is so good. I mean, I'm afraid to see what the reviews are on Letterboxd, because sometimes they can be so brutal sometimes. Yeah. But I'm like, this movie was good. This is a 4-star movie. You know?
I mean, that's why I say, if you are a Hallmark fan, get a Letterboxd account. We both have them, and so we can put a link down to our accounts. But I normally don't rate the Hallmark movies because I just feel like they're on a different, or the made-for-TV movies. I usually don't. I just give my review. I don't do a rating. But this one, I was like, I want it to get a bump, and so I gave it a very high rating. But I think you can also tell that this movie was directed by Corey and written by his wife, Kate Pragnell. I don't that a couple made this is not surprising to me.
No, I believe their Lifetime movie that they did together was also very good. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. It was when I can't remember anybody. She was the mayor of her town, and she needed to put the festival back on
Mm-hmm.
because the road construction was killing the business, and she wanted
It
to do it
takes a
on the
Christmas
farm. And he was
village.
yes, I think that's it. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good one too.
yeah, and the dance moment, and
Mhm.
they did that together as well, and they've got a good system going on there, a good teamwork going on in doing these movies, writing
Yeah.
them and directing them. They're solid movies. And what I loved about this movie too is it felt like a very old school type, like the emotional,
Yeah.
like growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, you would watch some of these Christmas movies that were like hardcore. You know, they were like
Yeah.
full of drama or sad, but it kind of is reminiscent of that feel good old school like flavor that we don't really get anymore in the Christmas movies, you know, where it gives you everything that you needed and it just doesn't focus on one aspect. Like it's not just a romance, it's not just a comedy. It gives you a little bit of everything.
It really did have a lot of layers because I really enjoyed the relationship between her and her friend.
Yeah.
And when her friend finds out she's gonna have a little girl, and like that was very sweet. And again, I just don't know how they could have executed it better. Like what do people want?
This is a win for Hallmark. And
Mhm.
I hope
Yeah.
I really didn't get the temperature because I didn't live tweet it or anything like that. So I don't know how well it went with, you know, the fans. I hope it's well because it deserves
Yeah.
high praise. I loved it.
Right now on Letterboxd, it's pretty positive actually. So yay.
That's good.
But get on Letterboxd if you don't have an account, it's free and it's so much fun to like make all the different lists, and you could do your own Christmas in July list, and we need these good ones to get a bump. So get on there. But yeah, it was outstanding. I was shocked and pleasantly so. It's so exciting as a critic because sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm a Debbie Downer. I'm coming on saying like this wasn't that good or this was meh. And so when you find these gems, it's really exciting.
It is.
Yeah. So
I'm so glad
we have the same top three, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Yep. I spoiled it already, but it was Crashing Through the Snow.
So our number one is Crashing Through the Snow is number one. And I think that Take Me Back could top it, but I gave I struggled.
I struggled. Only for a moment. And I picked Crashing as number one because it's a bit more funner and there are some really sexy moments for Hallmark, I should say, like you know, swoon-worthy moments. Yeah, like for a Hallmark, it's you know, it's safe for the family, but it's swoon-worthy. And they just had such great chemistry. And it was when she falls down everywhere, it was just so funny. And it's like so breezy of a watch too. And it's got its moments, like the stepmom trying to fit in and the mom saying, oh no, the stepmom, you know, is trying to take my place and in love with her brother, right? And that's going to be one family dynamic, one interesting family dynamic.
There was a lot of interesting conflict with, you know, the divorce and trying to keep things happy for the kids and then trying to deal with your partner, your former partner being with another person and those dynamics and trying to be respectful to stepmom and all of that is and how do traditions change and evolve in a family. What does even a family mean? All that stuff was kind of tackled pretty well, I think. Amy Acker's so darn likable.
I wish she would do more.
I do too.
I wish she would do more. I've always enjoyed her Hallmark movies. Even the one about the ballet, which I thought was pretty good too. The Nutcracker, that one was fun too.
Yeah, and in fact, if people want to hear my thoughts on that, my friend Jonathan, he has an Every Version Ever podcast, and he's been doing for Christmas in July, been doing Nutcracker, and I came on him. I came on his podcast, and we did a 3 made-for-TV movie, Nutcracker. We did that one, the I forget what it's called, the Nutcracker one with Amy Acker, and we did Sugar Plum, one, the Hallmark did. And and then we did the Nutcracker Prince one with Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah.
hilarious.
The Lifetime one. Oh my God.
I'll put a link to that if you want to check it out. You should check out his podcast. It was fun.
Yeah.
But she's always really good. And Warren Christie's very reliable. You know that he's gonna deliver.
Very good. It helps that he is dreamy as well.
Yeah. But I mean, I was thinking about it. I'm like, of course, he was in The Most Wonderful Time of the Year, one of the classics.
Yeah.
But he was also, he's in this. I guess that one with Candace was bad. But I really like the Color of Rain.
I wonder if that one, that one is good too. Very emotional. But I wonder if that one with Candace kind of fell apart due to how they filmed it during COVID.
It was just like business meetings, the movie.
Yeah, I just think like they did what they could under the circumstances, but
it was so boring.
That was not I was like, yeah, this movie ain't going to be a favorite of yours. Like, the people who like her Christmas movies and like look forward to them and stuff for Hallmark anyhow, that's not going to be high on the list for her.
That's like almost always death for me if it's just like we're planning stuff this entire movie. I remember the one
so hard. You're like, I was like, okay, why are you working so hard to make a Wizard of Oz connection? That was bizarre.
Yeah, that was really bizarre. And then the other one that was like that for me was I think it was called A Christmas Miracle, the one with Tamara. Or it was just like
with she works at the paper.
Yeah,
with the
it was just like meetings. The whole movie with meetings.
I got to write this amazing article. Yeah.
but this Crashing Through the Snow the Crashing Through the Snow had so many fun. Like there was the whole games that was fun.
Yes, that was shenanigans.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. So they had it, and also there was drama between he and his father that was settled out nicely. So it just wasn't focused on one person. Everybody had a moment to shine.
A good combination of comedy and drama and I think I think a lot of times these Christmas in July movies end up being underrated because they get kind of forgotten once the holiday season comes around.
Sometimes depending on the film, they don't really get repeated too much during the holiday onslaught.
Yeah,
I will say though that there is a hot tub scene. They're in a hot tub, or is it a pool in this one?
Hot tub.
It's a hot tub.
Yeah.
But for anybody who likes to see people in hot tubs and you want to laugh, also a Royal Christmas Crush has a hot tub scene, which is pretty funny. And I was like, you shouldn't wear that much makeup in a hot tub, but okay. So you have that as well. I'm just adding on more bizarre stuff.
Well, so what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to ask the patrons for their rankings when we do these ranking episodes. And I didn't give them a ton of time, so we only have one this time. But if you want to join the Patreon in our Facebook group, that'll be a way that you can participate in these ranking episodes. I'll try to post them before we do it. But we had our patron Steve Hahn. He says, my absolute favorite of this bunch is Crashing Through the Snow. Overall, felt upbeat with mature conversations, and it doesn't hurt that it has Amy Acker and Brooke Nevin. I think I really liked The Christmas Cure too. I think also had playful banter and good relationships, and of course, Brooke Nevin doesn't hurt. My notes say I really like Christmas in Toyland too, though I don't remember the specifics. I think most of the others I thought were okay, like would watch them again in the background, but not particularly compelled to seek them out. And I thought Perfect Christmas and Royal Christmas Crush were boring. And he says he hasn't seen Angel's Christmas Camp or Take Me Back yet. So
yeah.
So there we go.
Solid. Yeah. All good points.
Yes.
All good points.
So check out the Patreon. We could
Is there any one besides Take Me Back to Christmas and maybe Crashing Through Christmas? Besides the top three, is there any that you would rewatch again?
I would watch
you would want to do it a yearly thing, let's say. Like what you would watch relatively sooner than later again.
It's interesting because I have Home for Christmas Day pretty high, but it's so emotional that I'm less likely to watch that one
Yeah.
again. Same thing with Angels Sing.
Yeah.
I would be more likely to watch The Christmas Cure over, or even Christmas in Toyland again, even though they were lower.
Yeah.
But I think my top 8 I would probably watch again.
Yeah, like I was really thinking about it, and I was like, outside of my top 3, even though my love for Royal Christmas Crush, I don't know if I would watch them sooner rather than later. Like, I don't know if I'm going to
Uh-huh.
rewatch them this holiday season. I definitely want to,
Yeah.
like, later on rewatch Take Me Back to Christmas, see see
Oh.
how it holds up with the rest of the Christmas slate. But like, yeah, it's true. Like, there are some you just don't have a desire to go back to right away.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let us
But
know if
most
you're listening.
are most are still. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I said most are watchable.
Yeah.
They're fun in their own way.
Well, let us know what you think, especially about these 2 new ones. I would love to have your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And like I said, join the Patreon and you can give your rankings and we'll read them on air and it will help us so much. And so take a look at that. And Terry, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at Flurry Heaven. I also have Letterbox, same handle.
Yeah.
And then, sharing my shenanigan thoughts.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, the Hallmarkies Pod, the Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We just got over 6K subscribers, but most of our subscribers, most of our listeners, viewers on YouTube aren't subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps us a lot with the algorithm. So we would very much appreciate it. And like I said, we have the Patreon group, which is a lot of fun. And we have the merch store where we have tons of Christmas designs. So please take a look at that. And that helps us very much. And thanks so much. And Merry Christmas in July. We'll talk to you all later.
Bye.